Hello, welcome to Geeks and Gaijins. I'm your resident Gaijin, John.
And I'm your resident geek, Tom.
Indeed. And today we have an episode for you, don't we, Tom? We have an episode.
One heck of an episode. It's all the episode you could ask for and slightly more because we have no idea what we're doing.
Exactly. That's editing John's problem. Editing John. But on today's episode, we have us being wrong, Pokemon, more snacks, and Cannon Busters, or as I like to call it, Tom's Rant Corner.
Gotta have a good one of those.
Or Tom's overly complicated look into anime production history.
Oof.
It's more interesting than it sounds, hopefully.
That's also us being wrong. That's us being wrong for the section.
Or I'll just edit it until it sounds interesting. Who knows? So first of all, sad violin music, Thomas.
I mean, that's more of an editing John problem than me. I can't do anything about that. Unless you want me to make very terrible violin sounds through my mic, which would not be a good idea.
No, there's like any sound coming through your mic is probably a bad idea. What?
Yeah, you got me.
No, well, we made... This only happens very occasionally, and I'm sorry, in the long 6-week history of this podcast. We made a mistake. Well, we actually didn't. We just made something. We made a statement that was true at the time that anime has basically proven us wrong or out of date within about 5 days. Because last episode we said that Megalo Box, sporting anime, we said that Megalo Box was a great standalone one-season sports anime. It's getting a second season.
Yay!
Yes, I would be happy, apart from it made us look like fools.
And that's our job, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling like anime is particularly targeting us. They're obviously listening. Our viewer numbers are way down due to the fact that you can't watch it. It's a podcast. But our listeners' numbers are way up. And I'm pretty sure that's just all of anime going, let's mess with these guys.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Megalo Box is a boxing show. It's essentially, if you really like really basic sports anime with a really good concept, the art design is beautiful, the music is beautiful, it's a really simple, lovely 13 episodes, and now it is getting more. It just says it's in production. We don't know.
Yeah, it was announced yesterday, so we've not even got any new footage, really, apart from a couple of JPEGs of new designs. Joe has a beard now, which is always a good thing. And apparently it's going to be set 7 years after the events of the first season. Yep,
which I still don't know. But I don't know whether the characters really have places to go, but I'm ready to be proved wrong. Also, we record this usually on a Monday, so if something happens, some kind of massive leak happens on Tuesday or Wednesday, that suddenly, oh no, Megalo Box has just been, all of it's been dropped on Netflix on Tuesday, we'll sound like even more fools, and then we will know they are listening.
Now that we've said it, they're not going to do it, so we look like fools for even thinking there was a conspiracy in the first place.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. You're going to get Megalo Box Season 2 on Tuesday, but just because of us.
Man, I wish. But,
well, there's also been something that I've been doing rather than podcasting or researching or watching anime this week.
Goodness me. How did you find the time, John?
I don't know. Because I had a weekend.
Hey!
Yay! But the thing is, Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. Da, da, da. Okay, new Pokemon game's out. Yay!
That was a massive drop in enthusiasm. That was the least enthusiastic yay I've ever heard.
Well, it was meant to be truthful because I'm like an 8-year-old child. I love Pokemon so much, and the game is really good. This is Pokemon Sword and Shield, or Pokemon Sword or Shield. Shield. I don't know. I bought the game in Japanese, but you can just pick the language at the beginning. So I'm playing it in English. Because Japanese is muskashi. Muskashi. It means difficult. But no. Japanese is muskashi, guys. But no, I'm so glad I'm playing it in English because it is the most English game ever.
How English is it, John?
Well, first of all, it is as English as going into the first room in the game and examining the telly.
Ooh, a telly, you say?
Indeed. And then your rival will keep on calling you mate.
All right.
There are also multiple red post boxes everywhere.
Gotta have those. Essential part of the culture there. What would we do without our red post boxes?
There is a dark type fox Pokemon called Nickit, who looks like a thief.
Okay, that was pretty British. I'm gonna concede that one. That's fantastic. I need to look up this Pokemon now.
Also, one of the new rock type Pokemons is a sentient piece of coal on a wheel, and it is called Roly Coly.
Very nice. Nick it. There we go. Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous.
Yeah, I think there's even more references to random British things, like the Galarian forms, which are the new region is called Galar. It's based on the UK. It's really fun, but there's loads of new things. I'm not going to get into trying to review the entire video game. People have been moaning online, and they're all wrong. And I have special sources that possibly, essentially, it's only Americans complaining, and most other people are really enjoying it because it's a fun game, guys. It's a fun game.
What exactly are the Americans complaining about, John?
That some of the Pokemon, not all the Pokemon are in the Pokemon game. And not all the features from the past 12 gazillion games are in this game, because then it would be a bloated pile of rubbish. But yeah, even the non-English people I know here are like, oh my god, this game is English. It's just... It's like, I had no idea. I was just like, yeah, sudden Britishness just getting at you, including the new horrible team, Team Yell.
Ugh, loud noises, very non-British.
They seem to have taken a lot from the music scene. So there's a punk type Pokemon, which is great. It's like which plays like a guitar on its chest. It's amazing. He's on that one's on my team, but also. I've been told multiple times by my character by Team Yell to jog on. I don't know if you're if you are English, you might know the meaning of it. Usually the term jog on defined continue in a steady, uneventful way. However, due to the Oxford English Dictionary, the informal British meaning, which will be the meaning implied here, is to go away, used as an expression of anger or irritation. As in the example here, I really want to go and see the show, but for an £8.75 booking fee, they can jog on.
I don't think I've ever seen something more English than an Englishman reading from the Oxford English Dictionary the definition of jog on. That's fantastic.
It's just so many of them. It's just so much British English. It's amazing.
It's fantastic that they've done such a good job of localizing it, making it feel really authentically English or British or whatever.
It has my favourite piece of British slang that I tell all the Japanese people here because it's great.
And that is?
A character, I didn't even realise, a character is described as being pants at directions.
Yeah, that one's fantastic.
I love the term pants because also for our American listeners, your term pants is what we call trousers, and pants are underwear in British English. So therefore, if you're pants, you are rubbish or garbage at directions.
Marvellous. They appear to have done a really good job, like I was saying. In fact, they've probably done a better job at making an authentic English characters than Blizzard did with Tracer, who says something completely incomprehensible like "Cheers, love, the cavalry's here," which is just confusing and doesn't make any goddamn sense to anyone. Which makes me just hate the character in general for some reason. I can't explain it, but that one line being her catchphrase just makes me write off the entire character entirely.
There's also a new Pokemon that is a haunted teapot.
I did see that. That was marvellous.
It evolves from a haunted teacup.
And we got Yampas, which are just corgis.
There's a corgi that evolves into another cool dog-like Pokemon. There's also...
Is it a bulldog by any chance?
No, it's not. It's kind of like a... I don't know. It's a very like upright, noble dog. It looks kind of like Bolt from the movie Bolt. Yes, that movie that I just reminded you existed.
Not a lot. That's going to be a strange sudden flash of memory for everyone involved there.
That's what I'm here for. Also, a pike, like a Pokemon, as in like the fish, based on a pike. Yeah. Also, Galarian Meowth is terrifying.
I've seen it. I've no idea why anyone thought that was a good idea, but it's there now.
There's also just an elephant Pokemon, which is a steel type elephant, and I caught one and I called it Nelly.
Did it run away to join the circus?
No, well, I'm going with it, because Nelly the elephant packed a trunk and said goodbye to the circus. Off he went with it. Okay, I'm going to stop now before we somehow get copyright claimed by whoever owns Nelly the elephant.
With its own wonderful form of British slang by making a pun out of the word trunk.
But this is the thing. I love a lot of the British and Japanese names for the Pokemon because they do tend to be different. Like one of the best ones, my starter, my favorite, Scorbunny in English, is called Hibani in Japanese because Hibana in Japanese means like small flame or like to like heat something. And so Hibana, so Hibana plus bunny making Hibani, which is really, really good.
Sobble's a pretty good pun. I'm going to admit that Sobble is a fantastic pun for a name.
The Sobble's name in Japanese is... Sobble's Japanese name is Meson.
Which two words is that combining?
From the term meso and chameleon. Meso, uncontrollable weeping or sobbing. So it's meson. So Sobble.
That's a pretty direct translation then.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of them just tend to be translations, but this is one thing that I didn't know. I knew it before moving to Japan, but I only learned it very recently. Is because some of the Japanese names for them are terrible, like including Charmeleon is like Lizardon, and their name for Charizard. Charizard is Lizardon. Lizardon, which is just lizard. It's just big lizard. It's dumb name.
Oh, I wonder if Charizard would be nearly as popular if his name was literally just Big Lizard.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh.
And Squirtle is Zenigame, which Zenigame is just... Zenigame, I think, just means turtle.
You're not representing my boys, the grass types here. You've missed out Grookey and Ivysaur here. Come on.
The thing is, Bulbasaur's Japanese name is really good. Bulbasaur's Japanese name is... I should have looked these up before. Is... Bulbasaur's Japanese name is Fushigi-dane. Combining Fushigina and Tane or Dane. Fushigina, means mysterious sprouting. It literally means, mysterious seed.
Alright.
And Ivysaur is Fushigiso. Fushigiso. I'm not going to go and translate these all because God Almighty, it'll take too long. But no, the most interesting one, Thomas, is Pikachu.
Ooh, that iconic Pokemon that everyone knows.
Because Pikachu is Pikachu everywhere. No matter what country you're in, Pikachu's Pikachu. And he goes,
That's
Pika
fair.
Pika, Choo Choo.
I do realize that choo choo is a very, very Japanese noise to make. That's not a very English translation, no.
Do you know why it's a very Japanese sound to make, choo choo?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Indeed, because choo choo is the sound a mouse makes in Japanese.
Ah.
Japanese, it's the Japanese equivalent of squeak. Choo choo, choo choo. For a Nezumo, which I think is the name for a mouse. But Pika is the onomatopoeia, so the sound, so like pitta-patta is the sound that something appears at. Pika is the onomatopoeia for something that is sparking. So pika pika. Pika pika, like a wire, pika pika. So Pikachu's actual translated name is Spark Squeak. I somehow don't think Pokemon would be as popular if they translated, oh, what's this Pokemon? This is Spark Squeak. Try harder.
Could you imagine Pikachu screaming Spark Squeak every time he tries to destroy Team Rocket? Like,
Spark Squeak!
No, that wouldn't work nearly as well.
No, it's just... I'm so glad that decision was made. I'm really so glad that decision was made.
Made the right choice with the mascot of the entire company. Yes.
Indeed, because God, it would have been bad. But no, there are some Pokemon that have the same name. Some of them have different names. And generally, they're really great. I didn't think they were that popular in my school. Like, Pokemon is just like, we're too old for Pokemon. But no, I've noticed some of the kids in my class already on Monday. One of them was drawing Sobble or Maison on her worksheet. I was like, yeah. It was like, He-Bunny's my favorite.
Get out of here, Sobble trash.
What I'm saying is I am the ultimate soft touch of a teacher.
Oh, dear.
And on that, I want to eat the very best, like no one's ever done.
You're not allowed to combine eating with Pokemon. The Pokemon are the things that do the eating. No one's allowed to eat any Pokemon, John. Goodness me.
Well, you've not played like the last 3 games where you can eat like Magikarp and Slowpoke. I think you eat Slowpoke tail at one point. Also, in this game, you can just make curry rice. As like, oh, there's this exciting new thing in the Pokemon universe. What is it? It's curry rice. And curry rice in Japanese is kare rice. So yeah. But this is not curry rice. This is because it's just about to be the end of autumn time, and I've discovered my favorite fruit. I'm having to eat it with a fork because it's sticky and I'm using microphone. This is persimmon.
Tell us all about persimmon, John.
Persimmon is one of the main autumn fruits of Japan. It kind of looks like a weird tomato that you'd cross with a mango. And it's about as sweet as a mango if you get sweet persimmon. And God, they're so good. They're the main autumn fruit in Japan. And it's delicious. It's just like a really, really sweet inside with maybe one or a couple of pits. And like with a kind of semi-hard skin that you can eat or you can peel. And that was me dropping my persimmon. But no, it's so good. It's just so sweet. You don't really get a lot of persimmon-flavored things, but it's very popular in Japan and Japanese media. Dried persimmon is a very big thing in Golden Kamui. But no, it's just so good. And I didn't actually know what they were when I looked at them, because it's just like, what is this? We don't have persimmons in the UK. I think they vaguely exist on like the western coast of the US. But then they were in like box lunch that I get from school. And I was like to one of my Japanese teachers, what is this? And they're like, it's persimmon. Do you not know what that is? I'm like, nope. But yeah. So I've just been eating tons of them. And that's very, very bad because they're actually very expensive because fruit is really expensive here in Japan.
Oh dear.
But it's worth it because it's utterly, utterly delicious. It's like bite-sized mango. It is essentially like mango. It's like a nicer mango. It's like a sweeter mango.
Goodness me, a sweeter mango. I can only imagine.
Indeed.
That does sound actually fantastic.
And it's like bite-sized as well.
Is the texture similar to a mango? Is it like soft, or what did you say?
It's kind of soft, but it's kind of soft, but it's kind of hard. No, it's kind of firm. So it's like a really hard, same kind of texture as like a nectarine or quite a hard peach.
All right.
And no, I will recommend this. I rank this a Mankanchuk from Kill la Kill out of 7.
Which one's Mankanchuk?
From Kill la Kill, she's the girl's best friend who has no powers whatsoever, but just cheers her on and gets in the way of multiple life-threatening fights to just cheer people on. I love it so much.
She is wonderful. I can't remember her name. That's weird.
I just remember her name because she gets like shouted at by one of the main guys who's just Mankanchuk.
She does indeed do that an awful lot. And she's wonderful.
And she dresses up and she gets like a JoJo reference. She literally gets a JoJo reference as one of her fighting uniforms.
It is marvelous. Oh yeah, Mako Mankanchuk. I just caught. That's all. I only remember her as Mako. That's all I remember her as. That sounds like a good endorsement there.
Indeed it is. It's now time to take a trip, ladies and gentlemen, to Thomas's Rant Corner.
Hello. I'm not supposed to be ranting straight away. I'm supposed to be doing something productive by talking about one of the animes I watched this week.
What anime did you watch this week, Thomas?
This week, I'm still stuck in last season because I thought I'd try and polish up one last short 12-episode anime before I move on to catching up on the long-running stuff like Fire Force and stuff. So I decided I'd watch a Netflix original show called Cannon Busters. Cannon Busters is a fairly bizarre blend of genres in that it combines Western, sci-fi, and some sort of semi-Arabian Nights style fantasy worlds. Just mashes them all together.
So it's Cowboy Bebop. It's Cowboy Bebop.
I'm not going to say that it is because that would annoy people. In fact, it also annoys me slightly. Which is weird because I'm not a big defender of Cowboy Bebop, as heretical as that is to say.
Well, no, the thing is, it is actually just Trigun, because it's not Cowboy Bebop, it's Trigun. The main character is literally the main character from Trigun. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we follow 3 main characters in Cannon Busters. The main character is a guy called Philly the Kid, who is a guy who's been cursed with the ability to come back to life after being killed.
What a
he's
curse.
Immortal. Well, it is when you're Philly the Kid and you don't know what to do with it, and you just end up dying over and over again and smelling like garbage. Then we also have Sam, who is a super high-tech friendship bot looking for her lost friend, Prince Kelby. And Casey, who is a maintenance / engineer bot that is just sort of also there along for the ride. And they're going... Yep, carry on.
Now, I have watched the first 2 episodes of this series, and I couldn't really get on board. But
that's fair. Having watched all 12 episodes of what is currently being released, because first thing before we get into this, these 12 episodes are not a complete story. I'm going to put that out there at the beginning. We end the show just sort of in the middle of a story. It strings us along for 8 to 10 episodes on just a road trip show, which is sort of just exploring the world and stuff with minor character developments and backstory along the way. And then the last 2 episodes are a big showdown, which feel like they're going to be a climax, only to sweep the rug out from under us at the last second and just go, nope, just going to carry on from here.
That's really not what I want from my 12 episodes of introduction anime. I really don't. I want something big. You could watch so many things in that amount of time. It's just...
Yeah. Usually, if I want something like that, I'd go for one of the longer 24-episode shonen stuff, where I'm I'm okay with that just carrying on ad infinitum because it's combat anime. But no, this shows a weird sort of. I'm not going to say it's a anthology, but it does. Every episode is largely self-contained. We're just exploring the weird world where we're in, which is, like I said, a combination of a fantasy kingdom, some sort of western desert wasteland, and there's also just super high-tech robots and bull mechs in that transform into double-decker sedan cars or whatever. It's weird and fantastic, but also...
I know it's being published by Netflix, but it feels like the kind of program that if you watched it if it was released week by week and you watched it like every Saturday or something, and you were maybe if you watched it week by week and you were watching it maybe every Saturday and you were like 10 years old, it would be like, oh my god, this is the best stuff. But because it's being released by Netflix, and it was I think being released episode by episode, but it's now just all there and you can watch it, and it's just like, I don't want to sit watching like the same things over and over again.
No, you've hit the nail right on the head with that. I would definitely describe this as an adult sort of Saturday morning cartoon, probably better suited to something a bit like Adult Swim or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it is the sort of thing where you can just put it on once a week, have it in the background maybe, and it's a fun time. There's a lot of style to the show. I'm not going to say that it doesn't have that at least, but it's not really the sort of thing that you need to binge or anything. It's very, very broad in what it's going for, but that means that everything in it is kind of just shallow. The characters aren't really filled out. The world seems to have a lot going on in it, but you don't really explore any of it. I can't tell you what the themes of the story are for the life of me. Friendship, maybe.
Yeah, that friendship. It's a difficult thing to go along, because it's kind of anime and it's also kind of not. You were saying earlier about its troubled production cycle, which I don't know whether we can go fully into, but essentially it took a long time for it to properly get made, and it's about a Netflix original as my toes are. But it's also made by an American, like it's originally written by an American who lives in Japan, who speaks fluent Japanese, who works in Japanese entertainment industry. So it is one of the most kind of animes that people might argue is not an anime. And once again, that's an entire argument I don't want to get into either. But it's an interesting like example of that kind of like 3D. Well, it's not 3D, but
no, it does have some CGI elements. Bessie, the car, and also the mech are really good 3D. They've done a really good job with the CGI in this show, just because the art style is actually fairly strong on that part. So I can't fault them there, but everything else is kind of just sort of middle of the road. It's a perfectly fine and serviceable anime. It's just, I don't think I was right to hold off on watching anything else instead.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of thing that if you've never watched that kind of thing before, like go on, have a go. You might go, oh, this is cool. And then you will find more interesting stuff. If you've watched the more interesting stuff that has inspired this, I don't know whether you're going to be interested. Like, because other things just do what this thing has done so much better before. I think it's just, there are better world building animes. There are better like westerns anime. There are better fight anime. There are better giant robot anime. It feels like the kind of thing that you'd watch and go, oh, I like this particular part of Cannon Busters. I like the mech part of Bessie the car. So then you can go and watch actual mecha-focused anime. It feels like, oh, I like the Western part. I'm going to go watch Cowboy Bebop or Trigun. I like the robot fantasy. I like the kind of fantasy part. I'm going to go watch No Slime, The Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. It feels like that kind of like, we've pushed this all together. Watch it. Oh, I like this part. Well, you can watch Seven Deadly Sins as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right there. It's a very jack of all trades anime, and in that way, it's perfectly suited for something like Netflix because it's a great introduction for people who are more familiar with Western styles to get into that sort of thing. So it might end up being someone's gateway anime, and I think it would do a perfectly good job of that. But if you're already quite familiar with anime and the stuff it's got going for it, this is not really going to scratch any major itches.
No, it's made me a bit sad because I was like, oh, I love this kind of style. I love it. It just feels like it's been done much better and about 20 years ago. And it's also that thing with the thing is, even on Netflix there seems to be better ones, like the Dragon Prince, which I watched a couple of episodes of that, and I didn't keep on watching it, but I was like, oh, this is a pretty good kind of fantasy animated show. I'm not sure whether I'd call it an anime, and I'm pretty sure there are people who would decapitate me on the street for saying so, but that seemed like fun, and it had its own world and its mythology and an interesting thing of dragons and elves and nature and like good themes. Like, it felt like a show that someone wanted to make, whereas I know that Cannon Busters obviously has wanted to be made. The guy's been working on it for a stupidly long amount of time. There's even been a Kickstarter and everything. But it's just, I don't know, there just doesn't seem to be the push behind it. Or maybe that's just a thing. Maybe another 30 episodes get produced and it becomes one of the best animes of all time. Who knows?
I wouldn't hold my breath on it personally. I mean, I had enough that I enjoyed about Cannon Busters. I did watch all 12 episodes, and that wasn't just because I was stubborn. Admittedly, most of that might have just been because I found Casey just goddamn adorable. She's a lovely little robot.
Oh, the tiny robot is great. I love her so much. She was probably the best part. Whereas there's the other robot is just like, I'm super intelligent and I want to be your friend. I do not understand people who do not want to be my friend. I am also the most powerful thing in this plot. It's just like...
Sam, the friendship robot, has everything going for her that I should really shamelessly enjoy in a character. That sort of hopeless naivety and constant optimism usually work quite well for me, but there was just something about Sam that just I couldn't connect to for some reason. It might just be that she went too full-on robot and that she was just clearly a machine. More than anything else.
It was very kind of like, but it's like, I never felt, there's never any kind of feeling of tension of how are they going to get out of this one, because the main character's immortal, one of them's a super powerful robot, and the other is kawaii and can use a mech suit. It's just kind of like...
Casey is a child, and I will not let anything hurt her. Both Sam and Casey have the potential to be annoying, because... they certainly have that sort of those problems where they didn't annoy me all that much, but I could certainly see it. It could be a little bit like Ed from Cowboy Bebop, which was... I'm sure Ed's a perfectly good character, but hearing her voice in the English dub was just... It was grating for me.
No, her voice in the English dub is horrible, and they really don't know how to deal with that kind of tone thing. And that was also the kind of thing I got from Cannon Busters of like, oh, this feels like a really colourful kids thing. And then one of the first episodes, they essentially get kidnapped and almost killed by cannibals.
Yep. In one episode, Sam gets mistaken for a sex bot.
All right. Yeah, this... I don't know, it's like... Castlevania, like I expect it, but it's just like, I don't know. I have no strong opinions, but it's just like
I said, it's fine, I guess.
It feeds the kind of stereotypes that people tend to have of animations for adults.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Like I said, if you already have the expectation of these things being like Saturday morning cartoon level drivel, Cannon Busters isn't going to change your mind at all. It's nothing particularly deep, but, it's fine for what it is. If you go in with the right expectations, you'll have a great time with it.
Okay. Wunderbar. And so I don't think there's actually much more to talk about this week. I think we've done a pretty consistent job on it. We've actually said what we were going to cover and covered it. I know, shock. If we somehow have got something wrong or disproved by the anime community in the next week or so, let us know, and also we know you're listening. And so that you know that we know you're listening and that you know that you can listen, like us on the Facebooks. We are Geeks and Gaijins. Like us on Twitter. though you follow people on Twitter. You can find us on all good places where podcasts are, iTunes, leave a review if you'd like, Spotify as well, Podbean, and all the things. YouTube as well. Generally, Tom uploads all the stuff to YouTube, and it's really good.
Thank you.
He does a good job.
Hey.
And also you read it at our website. So our website now looks like a website. It's www.podbean/geeksandgaijins.com.
Check it out.
Indeed. And on that, it's a matter jar. It's a matter. Goodbye.
One day you're going to nail that outro, John. One day.
I wouldn't count that.
Well, on that day, we're going to have to stop the podcast because we've peaked, obviously. But until then.
I'm sorry, this is what peak Japanese masculinity looks like, guys.
I don't think you could say that.
I mean, a white guy sitting in a cupboard in the middle of Japan. What more could you want? And I'm ending the podcast there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's stop. Bye-bye.